Hello everyone, this is Priyanka. In this video today, I'm going to talk about 10 things that you cannot absolutely miss for CLAT 2021. So let's get started. This is going to be a super quick thing and we'll look at the basic 10 things that you must have in place in case you want to crack CLAT 2021. Now, first thing first, you need to have a strategy of how you're going to attempt your sections. So there has to be definite game plan that in which order you would be going through your sections, which order you'll attempt first, then what. So you ought to have that particular strategy with you. There are a couple of few suggestive plans. The ideal flow is that you keep a high reading, HR is high reading here, a high reading section followed by a low reading section, again followed by a high reading and low reading and then high reading. We know in the current format of CLAT we have three high reading sections, which is English, CR and legal. So doing two of them or doing all three together could cause a bit of reading fatigue. So break down that reading fatigue, what you can do, you can introduce a low reading section between any two high reading sections. There are two suggestive plans. Plan A is that you start with legal, then you come to GK, then you take CR or English depending on your comfort level with any of these sections. Then you do quants and then come back to the remaining of English and CR. That's plan A. Plan B, you start with GK, which could be done in max 10 minutes. You go to legal and then you go to quant, figure out the easiest section. You'd be getting three sets over there. Figure out which is the easiest section, which is something you're most comfortable with. Complete that set, come back to English and CR again. Decide on the basis of your comfort level with whether you are more comfortable with English, so do that first, or you're more comfortable with CR, do that first, and then come back to the remaining two sets of quants. Again, there's a disclaimer: if you have a strategy which is already working for you, okay, if it's already fetching you good marks and you are having a good balance of attempts versus accuracy, please stick to that. These are the only suggestive strategies for someone who has still not made any kind of specific strategy for the exam. Second thing which we tend to overlook, most of us overlook, is the kind of pen that you're using. Now, if you have seen the admit card, they have clearly mentioned that ball pen. It's not a gel pen. Gel pen is a strictly no-no because, it can smudge off. They do not dry up easily. So if, you can smudge, the ink could be smudged on the OMR paper. Now, one thing that you need to keep in mind with a ball pen, go to a nearby stationery shop, experiment with the whatever ball pens that particular shop has. Pick up a thick nib ball pen. Why am I saying thick nib? Because that way your OMR circling would be filled quickly than if you're using a thin nib ball pen. So just make sure you have a thick nib ball pen, one which runs very smoothly. Your grip on that pen comes out good. So these are the couple of things you have to keep in mind while choosing your pen for the exam. You need to carry two blue and two black pens for the exam. Now, also, I think this is something you should be done with 2 or 3 days before CLAT. You should have your pen ready with you, which you're going to take to the exam center. What you can do, you need to get the pen in the flow. So if you've bought two blue and two black, fill at least one OMR completely with each pen so that the pen gets into the motion. Don't use pen so much so that there's no ink left. Getting it? So हर पेन से आपको एटलीस्ट एक OMR भर लेना है ताकि पेन जो है वो फ्लो में आ जाए और स्मूथली चलने लगे. And I'm sure you all must have written at least 20-25 mocks in the offline format. That means doing mocks with the OMR bubbling thing. If not, and if you're done with only 10-15, you can practice another 4-5 with the OMR bubbling, actually doing the OMR bubbling with the mocks. Fourth important thing is the bird's eye view. Okay, and that is the advantage which comes with an offline paper. What do I mean by bird's eye view? Let's say you're starting your paper with GK and you're done with GK in the first 10 minutes of time. Then since it's an offline paper, you have the flexibility or you have the liberty to flip the pages, quickly scan the paper to get a hang of it, to understand what kind of English has come, what kind of CR has come, and what kind of legal has come. So after GK, you're just trying to have a quick glance over each section that might take a minute only, and that would give you a sense of the paper, whether the language is tough, or whether CR has come from your comfort zone, or what kind of passages are in legal. So in case any section or your strategy needs a revision, whether you need to you need to decide, you need that you'll be doing English first or CR first, so that decision can be made at that time. Fifth important thing is the navigation inside the section. Once we reach to a particular section, it's not necessary that we would be doing the passages in the chronological order. No. The first thing that you need to do is spot the tough nut to crack. That means spot the difficult passages, or the spot the uncomfortable passages in the beginning only. So let's say you reach to legal section, you see there are 8 passages, you see 1 and 2, okay, your comfort zone. 3 is something you have not read, or you're not that comfortable with. 4, 5, 6 is again something you have done, 7 is difficult, and 8 is again your comfort zone passage. So what you do 1, 2, 4, 5, 6 and 8 first, and then you will come to the 3 and 7, which you are least comfortable with, which you are least familiar with. The benefit of this would be, if the passages 3 and 7 are not something you're comfortable with, or they seem to be difficult passages, and so there are high chances that you might stuck in those questions. So what you're ensuring, that what you know best, what you already know or you're familiar with, you're solving them at first and then going to the unknown domain. Also, a couple of times what happens, whenever we reach to a difficult question, a kind of ego things comes into the picture. I have solved this question in n number of mocks, why can't I do this right now? So that way it leads to the wastage of time, and that is something you need to avoid. Two things: you don't have to fall in love with the question. Secondly, you don't have to let your ego come between, let your ego come in between when you're solving the questions or when you're in the exam hall. These two things have to be absolutely avoided. Sixth important thing is the mask. You would be writing the exam with a mask on. So for the next 4 days, whatever practice you're doing, whatever sexual test, mocks, or reading that you're doing, please practice with mask on. Specifically, if you can make sure that you're using the same kind of mask which you would be using on the D-Day, so that would be better, so that you're comfortable with that mask. You go for a surgical mask, that would be I think the best thing to go for right now. Also practice with AC off. You might get a test center, or by now the test centers are out. So if it's a school or an engineering college, there are high chances there won't be ACs in those classrooms, there would be only fans. So you need to get used to that kind of sitting environment. So from now on, if you know your test center is not going to have an AC, whatever practice you're doing, practice with AC off in your study room. Seventh is clothes, which is again, some people might not consider as an important thing, but it is. This is the monsoon season in India. It's hot and humid at most of the places, so wear comfortable clothes, wear cotton clothes, wear clothes which are airy. Don't wear anything which sticks to your skin. Don't wear full sleeves or something, anything which might make you uncomfortable in a hot and humid environment. Avoid that. And if possible, attempt one complete mock in that outfit which you're going to wear on the exam day. Also remember, nobody is going to look at what you're wearing. So the key is the comfort, not how you're looking, how good you're looking, how your clothes looking. That's an absolutely out of the context thing. The key is the comfort. Just keep that in mind. 8 is bubbling. Last minute or simultaneously. Last minute is an absolute no-no. It has to be done simultaneously. In fact, ideally after every question. If not after every question, then after every section. So you finish up a section and then you quickly go to OMR and bubble your responses. Don't leave bubbling till the last minute. That's a biggest blunder that anyone can make in an exam hall. Face shield and gloves, there's been a lot of queries. Students are asking whether we should carry them or not. It's mentioned in the it's mentioned in the admit card, and we are not comfortable with face shield and gloves, my suggestion, carry them so that you do not face anything at the entrance, you do not face any hindrance at the entrance. They tell you that it's mentioned in the admit card, you should have brought it. So avoid any of those things, just carry them, keep it aside inside the exam hall. That's probably most of the people would be doing up, but there's no harm in carrying a face shield and a glove to the exam center. Admit card and identity proof, carry the original identity proof. I have seen people get carrying the photocopied one. Don't make that mistake, don't commit that mistake. Carry your original identity proof. And also, it's been mentioned in the admit card, for some of the people, if their Aadhaar card has been generated long back, there's a huge difference in the pic in the Aadhaar card and the current pic. So you need to carry a recent passport size photograph. So do that. Admit card, take a color printout which where everything is clearly visible. Now this is the list of items you need to carry to the test center on the exam day. Your colored printed admit card, the blue and black ball pens, analog wristwatch. I'm sure you must be having. If not, then borrow it from someone, from your neighbor, from your siblings, friends, or anyone. But this is an absolute must. Any original photo ID, preferably a government ID, an ID issued by the government. Transparent water bottle, again, do not make fuss over it. I cannot take a blue or can I take a green. If it is written transparent, just make sure it is transparent. The self health declaration form, which is at the bottom of the admit card, hand gloves, face shields, and the sanitizer. So just keep the screenshot. This would serve as a checklist on the D-Day. These are the 7 items that you need to have when you're going to write your CLAT exam. So all the very best for CLAT 2021. Thank you. Bye-bye.